So hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Reecee News. And today, there has been some good news and bad news that I wanted to discuss. So, before we get into the bad news, we'll start with the good news here. And of course, it's a leak from Pioro, and Pioro was hinting at some Mario-related announcements for Mario Day that will happen around that time, like within the next week. So pretty soon, possibly Sunday, because initially he said Mario Day falls on a Sunday this year, and it was basically quote tweeting a tweet from No Context Super Mario that was about Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, about like dropping new info about the game. So possibly either on Mario Day or the days leading up to Mario Day, we could finally get some new info about Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door remake. I have been wanting info for this game for months. I was really expecting it to happen last month, but it still is the beginning of March, so I guess it still kind of makes sense if the game is going to release in like April, May, or June. I mean, late April at the absolute earliest, but I'm really hoping that this game will release soon. Like, it's been a little over 5 months since it was announced, and I really feel like it's probably going to be in the first half of this year, since with the first trailer, it already looked nearly finished, so I am just really excited about it. I know, like, you probably know, once that trailer drops, I'm going to have an analysis, a discussion, depending if I'm available that day, but I am really excited to see new info on the Thousand Year Door. I'm hoping we get a release date with this trailer, as well as like some new features and changes from the original game that will be shown off, as well as the box art and promotional renders, because surprisingly we didn't get that with the first trailer. I mean, they're one of the things that are kind of memorable for the Paper Mario franchise, so I'm kind of surprised that we didn't get any promotional renders with the first trailer, so I'm hoping that we'll get some within the next week with this new trailer. And another thing that Pioro hinted at, which definitely makes sense to go alongside this Thousand Year Door announcement, is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, since we also haven't seen info on that game since September. And I am really curious what they're doing with this game, because like, from the footage that we've seen, it didn't really look like a drastic change from the original, but I feel like that might be partially due to the fact that, like, a lot of games from Next Level kind of look a little bit rough and unpolished before the game releases, and then when the game releases, it looks, like, really good. So this could look a lot better with the next trailer that we get. And I'm hoping that they'll add some content to justify the $60 price tag, because if it's just a 3DS game with overhauled assets, that definitely wouldn't be worth it. I feel like if it was a Metroid Prime remastered scenario, I feel like $40 would make much more sense. But since it will likely be $60 due to the GameStop listing, I feel like there might be something else to this remake or remaster that we don't know about. So we'll just have to see. I mean, maybe people will start calling it a remake when we get new footage of it, because, like, we usually see a jump in quality, like, a few months before a game from Next Level releases. So we'll just have to see with this one. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope there's more to offer than just the base game from the original. I mean, maybe add a mode from Luigi's Mansion Arcade in there, or, like, have some, like, new missions or new areas in the game in general. I think that would be really cool. So, moving on to the bad news. And this is pretty disappointing, because last week, Nintendo was suing the developers of the emulator Yuzu, for a few different reasons, and I think it was partially due to the fact that, I mean, I feel like it was partially targeted by Nintendo because of the fact that they had a Patreon page up supporting it. I don't think that's entirely the reason. I forgot the reason exactly, but they have been targeting Yuzu, and it makes a lot of sense why they would, even though it really is disappointing that they are. I mean, like, it's an emulator for, like, Nintendo's current hardware, so I definitely see why Nintendo would be targeting it. But at the same time, it's really disappointing because, like, I feel like emulation is really one of the only ways to properly preserve games, like, past the console's lifespan. And even though we still are in the Switch era, I feel like the groundwork is still being developed for, like, how these games could be preserved in the future. And we're also kind of, unfortunately, moving towards, like, a future where, like, digital gaming is more dominant, which leads to things like games being taken down off of digital stores, and, like, different things like that could easily be lost. So, like, emulation in preserving these games is really important. But it was really unfortunate with the news today, because Yuzu, like, with the developers, ended up shutting it down, and I think, I'm not sure, they might have to pay the 2.4 million, that, like, Nintendo had in the lawsuit, but, they're shutting down Yuzu. But what's even more disappointing about this is that they're shutting down Citra, which is made by some of the same developers. And that is extremely disappointing, because Nintendo doesn't even support the 3DS anymore. They haven't really since 2020, and even since 2019 when they released new Nintendo-published games. So it's just extremely disappointing that, like, they still have to shut down an emulator for, like, a system that Nintendo doesn't even support anymore. And a lot of 3DS games are now very inaccessible because of the eShop shutting down and everything. It's just a major blow to 3DS preservation and 3DS emulation in general. I mean, I feel like we're lucky that the 3DS community is as big and thriving as it is, because I feel like there's definitely an incentive now for, like, people to make new 3DS emulators. I don't think Nintendo was specifically targeting Citra. I think that was just a part of, like, the Yuzu devs, like, taking it down, like, just in case something else would have happened. But it's still really disappointing regardless. And, like, it just, like, I know a lot of people are making the excuse, oh, people are mostly using these emulators for piracy and playing games before they release and different things like that, but, like, emulators themselves are not illegal. Like, you can dump your own games and play them on an emulator if you want. Like, let's say it might be an easier way to, like, mod a game or learn how game development works. I feel like there's a lot of really good things about emulation, and it's not just about piracy, like a lot of people are saying. Like, emulators are completely legal, and, like, it was determined quite a long time ago, like, when Nintendo was originally trying to shut down emulators. I just feel like Nintendo doesn't like emulation in general, because, like, obviously it is tapping into their market a little bit, but it does kind of serve, like, they do see it as a threat, which is pretty unfortunate. And the thing is, I feel like it wouldn't be as much of a problem if Nintendo actually provided us with, like, most of their older catalog. I mean, yes, they are putting some things on Nintendo Switch Online and giving us some remakes and remasters, but that's not enough. There still are, like, hundreds, if not thousands of games from older Nintendo systems that you just can't play on modern hardware, and it's really disappointing. But yeah, I just feel like if Nintendo is gonna go after these emulators and things, they should at least give us the alternative to play, like, all of their older games. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.